around this past year, uh, of someone um, filming the moon and filming these three or four just huge craft just slowly going over the face and then disappear. Uh, Beautiful video, plain as day. Plain as day. You can find it. It's very, very popular. It's a beautiful video. Uh, but and it's a base called Wave Nest. It's a Rigelian base in the Atlantic Ocean, or Rigelian, not Regalian, Rigelian, maybe. These are all notes from Project. Because somehow a few years ago I got my hands on the Project Blue Book. Um, and I took some of these notes, or made some of these notes from those documents. But in the Atlantic, apparently there's a big mining, underwater mining operation. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, we see craft coming out of the ocean all the time. They're just about as much seen in the water or around water, just as much as they're in the air. So who knows? I mean, like I said, we've been lied to our whole lives, and your parents' whole lives, and their parents' whole lives, and their parents' whole lives, and even their parents' whole lives, and it just goes on. So what? How can you judge? All you can do is compile the information, look at everything individually, and sort the gold from the dross. And that's what I'm doing, and that's what I've been doing. And that's why I'm talking to you right now. Many sightings and abductions occur, particularly either when the land is either on an Indian reservation, government land, or unclaimed land that the government wants to buy up. Which is interesting, since Indian reservations. I mean, I bet they've also been in contact with native populations for, I mean, since before the conquest. I mean, since way before European man. So it's very interesting. On the day of, or at least 2 days before a new moon, which is the moon. The moon is interesting. I believe the moon is a satellite. It's a. I believe I would even maybe even go to say that the moon. Yeah, the moon is definitely artificial. So on the day of, or at least 2 days before a new moon, or on the day of, or at least 2 days before a full moon, or when the moon is closest to Earth, or within 2 days of the perihelion. 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 The perihelion. In all, there's and also Phil Schneider. I mean, he goes back and saying, I mean, there's one in every state. There's a base in every state, or more than one, depending on what state it is. And I just wrote down a few popular states that have deep underground military bases, or DUMBs. Fairbanks, Alaska, Area 51, obviously. Dulce, New Mexico, S4. Utah, Colorado, Denver, Colorado, which is the Denver International Airport. But there's more than one in Denver. There's more than one in Colorado. But the Denver airport's one. California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Maine, New York, New Jersey, Wyoming. Yes. So I mean, yeah, I mean this stuff. I mean, this kind of information needs to come out before. I mean, it's too late. Before we're told all of this and people are just completely blindsided and we freak the fuck out and we don't know how to handle it. And I don't want that, because I do know how to handle it, you know? So that's why I'm doing this, you know? That's why I mean, so I'm talking about this. That's why I have almost no friends. That's why I work and then I come home and I either do research or I play my guitar or I, but this is stuff that no one wants to talk about, that people are afraid to talk about, or if they're not afraid to talk about it, they just straight up don't believe in it, which I think is ridiculous, because when you stop being an idiotic consumer for 1 minute and put the TV remote down, or put your fucking phone down, or use your phone to go and look at information that is important. Use your phone for a tool, not for an entertainment device. It's a tool. It's not, it's not a miniature TV screen. Like, Jesus. But, it goes deep, and I've just only touched on a few things. I mean, so after the Apollo programs, Phil Schneider talks about this, and this is kind of the last thing where I left off, or on my notes, or at least. He goes, him, along with 66 other Secret Service government workers, find themselves in a hole in Dulce, New Mexico, where they encounter live alien beings, and Phil shoots and kills 2 of them, and just as he's reloading, this being rubs its chest and hits him with a blue or green beam. I think he says blue beam. Then he says green beam at another time. But it hits him and opens him up like a fish, he says. And he just burnt a few of his fingers off. You can see that in some of the speakings. His fingers are gone. Not all of them, but a good portion of them. He even lifts his shirt up, and he's got a giant scar that goes down the front of him, from where his body cavity was opened up. He says burn his shoe off of him, burn his toes. So it was some kind of ray energy weapon, and he was lucky to get out. I mean, a Green Beret put him in the basket and hit the button, and it made it go up. And he said he wouldn't have been alive if it wouldn't have been for him. And that guy lost his life, by the way. So, I mean, if the reason I'm doing this if I have to say for one particular reason, it means for him, for his kind of, for his legacy, I guess. I mean, for his willingness and his just utmost courage to come out and say these things. And like he said, I love my country more than I love my life. And that's a patriot right there. That's someone that needs to be remembered. That's someone's work that needs to be pushed forward, that needs to be not just left on YouTube to a few videos. It needs to come out. because those things need to be said. And so after he survived it. I mean, he was one of the only survivors, definitely the only survivor we'll ever know. So there's power in those videos. There's great information in those videos. I mean, even he brings out poster boards. He brings out. He talks about the different craft, the liquor strap crafts. He even has some of the coating from those crafts. The black coating drips off like lava, he says. It's very compelling. Very. When you listen to it, you know that he was telling the truth. I mean, they killed him for that. I mean, he was found with a catheter strangled. He was strangled with a catheter. You can look up his death photo. He was strangled at his house. He had like 9 or 12 attempts on his life by the time he died. Took him like 13 times to kill him, 14 times, something like that. Like, why? Why'd they go to that such great lengths? Well, because he was telling the truth. Truth is something they do not like, but we patriots do like. It's why we have society. That's why we have this system that we're trying to keep in our favor, in the people's favor. Well, it's been in their favor. We're trying to get it back in our favor, but it's really never been in our favor anyway. So, for the first time in history, we're going to take it back for ourselves. Take our history back. Make it our own. Not the agenda of a couple hundred people on the planet. No. Because there's a lot more of us than there are of them. And when the people realize what they've been doing, their world's gonna come crashing down. And their little forts and stuff, it won't save them. It won't save them. But yeah, I mean, so after Dulce, I guess, 1979, the Cold War started happening, and a few years after, not 1979, but the 80s, the Cold War started, and that was basically, that wasn't what we were told it was. Basically, we needed a weapon strategy to defend ourselves if need be, and we were trying to develop such, and that was kind of the cover story that they needed. So it kind of worked in their favor. And while the whole time this has been going on, we've been, stolen from with tax money, building these bases, harnessing technology that is almost 80 years ahead of where we are now. I mean, I remember Phil saying, for every year that goes by, the military technology increases about 44 and a half years. And I believe that for a fact. I believe that. I believe we're so advanced to where we are right now. Like, our minds would boggle, like, if they were to really just, here's what we got. Like, if they were to say that and then show us, we wouldn't know. We'd be like, what? Like, yeah, it would never be the same. I think in a good way, though. Like, technology isn't good or bad. It's what you do with it. You know, it's. I mean, it's technology is not something to be resisted or, you know, we are technology, you know, and technology is us. And it's our minds embedded in matter. But yeah, I mean, this just can't go on. You know, it needs disclosure needs to happen. I think. Will it freak a lot of people out? Will a lot of people not know how to handle it? Yeah, you know, but it's one of those things where it's a bitter pill to swallow, but it must be swallowed because we cannot forestall change any longer. I mean, our backs are beginning to point against the wall, and we're starting to back up and back ourselves into a corner and box ourselves in, and that's not what we need. I mean, we've only possessed serious technology for less than 100 years, and look at the planet already. It's an absolute mess. And then when you tie everything, all of this in, like when you tie the aliens in, and when you tie rapacious thoughtless capitalism that just that its very basis is founded upon the thought that there's an ever exploitable natural resource, which there isn't, and it's appalling, you know. It's not where we need to be. We need to be out there. I mean, shit, we need to be all that we can be. And I'm not talking about an army militaristic kind of way. No, not that kind of be all you can be. No. Be all we can be in here and in here. That is where it's at. It's in here and in here. And not in here, not in guns, not in force, not excessive force. We're talking about victory from within. Yeah, it's a victory from within. And when you went inside, you went outside too. And that's when you start seeing change and looking at things differently and opening your mind to the fact that, yes, aliens have been visiting here for thousands upon thousands of years, guiding civilizations, guiding us, genetically altering us, being there, but not being there, you know, like they're in the background, you know. We don't see them, we don't hear them. Sometimes we see them, but it's like they're in the background. They're inside white noise, you know, if that makes sense. They're inside invisible space. They're in another dimension, the fourth dimension. Well, the fifth, maybe fourth or maybe fifth dimension, but still, they're here though. They know people like me that know. They know fellow Lightbringers, and they know fellow Starseeds. They know people like me. I've had contact, not personal contact, but I've had compelling contact once I was building a fire outside in my yard, and by myself. And it always happens when you're alone. All of these things happen when you're alone, which is fantastic, and that gives it validity. But um, uh, I was building a fire, and I was looking up at the sky, and I saw this orange glowing ball, and I was like, "What is that?" And I'm like, I thought it was a plane or something, but it couldn't have been, because it didn't have the red and blue blinking lights like they do on the wings, or it didn't have the white blinking light like it does on the tail. So it wasn't blinking, and I was like, "Is that a star?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, that's not a star," because it was way too low to be a star. It looked like a star, but it looked so low. It maybe a couple thousand feet in the air, maybe. Like, it was fucking low, but it looked like a star, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is that? What is that? And I just watched it just go right over where I was sitting. I was alone, and I was looking at it, I'm like, and I don't know what possessed me to do it. I don't know what, uh, I don't know why I did this, but I just closed my eyes, and I was like, are you watching me? Like, I said it out loud. I said, are you watching me? And I see it, and I look at it, and it gets brighter for a second. It gets bright, and then it just dims back to where it was, and then it just keeps going. And I was like, oh my god. It heard me. It literally, it answered my question. And ever since then, I mean, and I've seen craft since then, not during the day, but I've seen strange lights like that in the sky since then, a few of them. I never asked one another question like that. I should, but since then I didn't ask the other two a question. But I see craft all the time like that, and I don't know. It's like a reminder that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm on the right track, that I'm on the right path, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and it just gets me motivated to speak like this even more. So it's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. But if you like this video, subscribe to my channel. Like I said, this is my first video ever, like, about anything like this or this subject at all. If you liked it, subscribe, share, comment. I greatly appreciate it. I want to give a shout out again to Ryushin Malone. You need to go over check out his videos. His evidence is so compelling, and his website is fantastic. And I want to do a video chat with him. I've spoke to him a little bit, but and I donated to his book back when he was doing donations for his book. I helped donate to that. But yeah, I mean, him and I, and people like us are, want to see the truth come out and want to inform people, inform the citizenry, be an informed citizen, not a misinformed citizen, use your head, use that beautiful brain. It's not to be taken, this experience is not to be taken lightly. It's not to be just, oh yeah, life, no, life is a serious thing. I consider life a thing to be figured out, a thing to be seen through, a thing to be understood. And you need to understand your origins. You need to understand where you come from. You need to understand that, life is a lot bigger than the Western industrial capitalistic society that we live inside of. It's not what we're about. That's what our society's about, but that's not what we're about, So with that, I want you to think about all this. Think about the evidence. Think about the evidence. Make it make sense. Uh, uh, and like I said, if you have any ideas about anything, I should talk about it, or maybe do a live one day, I'd be open to it. But take care. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.